All right, let's get started with a roll call. This is a Budget Committee meeting, workshop on the proposed budget. We're working on the town side tonight, and we're going to be starting with deliberating. We've had all of our presentations, and now we'll go into it. Starting with a roll call, Shay?
Shay Senate.
Mark LeMay, Selectman's Rep.
Sammy Tremblay.
Lisa Jukes.
Joe Spurl.
Hello.
Lee Sterry.
Diane McCarthy. Elizabeth DuBrul. Liz Mitchell.
Ruth Gage.
Richard Fletcher.
Guy Karen.
Brian Fournier.
I'm Pete Georgantis. I know excused was Brian. Pardon me?
I just said Brian.
I think first up on our presentations, according to our sheets anyway, is the police department. Procedure is, I think we just go page by page. Anybody's got any comments? The chief is here tonight. If there's any other questions, feel free to ask them.
So I missed out on the presentation, unfortunately, and I had a couple of questions on the first page.
Not a problem.
Why did the HVAC maintenance and supplies, the line item 1042 101 45, why did the Board of Selectmen increase that from $2,000 to $4,000?
Wasn't that a cut in another area? Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah.
It was withdrawn from the CIP to replace.
They need more money for maintenance.
So they increased the maintenance line to offset the replacement process.
Okay, perfect.
Was there another one?
Yeah, what's the furniture and fixtures? Was there some like major stuff that was needed?
Nothing major is on the one. The building's over 20 years old and we're trying to replace.
Like chairs and tables? Okay. And what are we going to do about the generator there? Because every year I've noticed for the generator there's like $1,500 that's spent on the generator. Is it just like maintenance or what's?
There are preventive maintenance costs for that generator, and there's the other generator up in the summit. And that generator controls all our communications equipment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Entire building.
fairly essential. Yeah, and they're not like not aging out. Like they're good. They're stable.
We replaced that generator in 2008 or 9, I believe.
Okay.
It's a brand new. The one down at the PD is that is the one up at the summit.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be looking at grants to have that one.
Okay.
Any other questions, Elizabeth?
I think. So the last thing was
Go ahead.
the fleet maintenance line on the second page. The Board of Selectmen gave you $2,200. Was that another one that they had cut out
We had
somewhere else?
overexpended our line this year, or we're well on our way at the time. We did that at this point.
Right.
Additionally, they've cut the third cruiser out, so now CIP will get increased.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Brian?
Did I miss something on the benefits line of why that went up from the after the Board of Selectmen got it? 613 and then it went to 670.
We received the increase from Health Trust of average about 14%.
Yeah.
We have our health fair for all the non-union employees on Tuesday, and they'll be signing up under the new contribution rates that the selectmen have put in, which would employees about, it's 3.5%, but it's going to depend on what they elect to take, because we now have a high deductible plan that employees will be able to take and may save the town even more money. So we'll have those figures hopefully end of the day Tuesday, and can get them to you for Wednesday.
So this number is obviously not solid then.
Correct.
Okay.
Just for the record, we want to make sure we get your name in.
Derek Horn, Assistant Town Administrator.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay. One more. I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
The intoxilizer expenses. That's
It's intoxilizer. Please don't
intoxilizer.
Well, it depends on where you're at.
Is it misspelled, or is that
Which
how it's
side of it
actually
you're
spelled
on?
with a Y?
Intoxilizer, yes.
Okay, so they have a misspelling
Oh,
here.
yeah, there should be a Z there.
Yeah, that's definitely
Elton
misspelled.
Buck's a
But-
liar.
Yeah. So that's gone up to 2,000, new technology, new,
Yes and no. We've got the portable breath test, the CBCs, we use roadside now.
Yep.
In addition to that, we need to buy the supplies, the mouthpieces for those. So that, we're not buying the new piece of technology itself, we're just buying the replacement mouthpieces. In addition to that, even though it says intoxilizer expense, it also accounts for our blood test. So if we have a serious problem, we have to go to the hospital and we mandate blood being taken, we have to pay for that. Currently, it's about $150 or $75
Right.
per blood test. And
Yeah.
pay lax or bad actors, we can do 4 draws.
And Chief, you had told us this is mandated by the courts, right? So you
Yes,
you don't have
Court
discretion.
and Department of Safety, et cetera, that you have to do those mandatory blood draws.
Anything else on those pages? I don't know when the time to bring this up, but I just want to double check my numbers. Guy, you may remember. The non-union personnel are budgeted for a 2% increase for 6 months.
I don't know that for sure.
And it's in our presentation something.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
So with that, I'm assuming the first 6 months is still the 3% increase. Okay. I want to figure out that dollar to level funded at last year's rate. I want to cut the 3% out for the first 6 months. I want to cut the 2% out for the. Go ahead, Derek.
The first 6 months is at the current pay rate, and then there would be the 2% on July 1st.
Yep, I understand.
Okay,
I'm
just
cutting
wanted to
that
make sure.
3% out. Okay, no 3% this year. And I understand what you're saying, Chief. It's a pay cut, right?
Oh, no, what I'm saying is that.
Okay.
What you're saying is to cut it, it's not, there's nothing there to cut, because the pay raise would be effective July 1st,
It's in the budget.
for July 1st, but there's no 3% July 1st.
Well, no, it would be a 3% pay cut. I'm taking back 3% we gave last year for that. We're budgeting, this kind of irritates me a little bit. We budget January to end of December. So the administration or the Board of Selectmen or whoever decides that, well, wait a minute, we're going to automatically, in that budget for the following year, put that raise in there. So I don't believe that it should be in there. So I'm taking it, go ahead, Ruth.
But I don't understand what you're saying, because the town voted this budget.
No, they didn't.
No.
They did vote?
They didn't vote this budget. They voted the budget
I
last year.
mean last year's budget,
Yeah.
which would mean that the people are still being paid at the same rate
Okay.
until town meeting.
Okay? We need to cut some expenses in this town,
Not
okay?
until town meeting, till the end of the year.
Okay? When people pass a budget, they vote on a budget. They figure that budget's from January to December,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
That's what they're voting on.
So I can understand the 2% and not giving a raise, but I don't understand the 3%.
Well, that's the way I feel.
Now, because what ended up happening is that there are still, for the first 6 months of it, they're still technically getting a 3% because we're still voting on it.
Right,
Is what you're saying.
right.
But then how does it work after
I know,
that? How can it go from 3?
then they're gonna.
So
then they're gonna get another check.
I guess what I'm asking is, in January 1st, you get a 3% raise, and then
No.
You don't get a raise, you
No.
get a raise in July.
It's for non-union.
July 1st of
Say
this
non-union.
year, there was a 3% increase for non-union, and
Right.
Yeah.
but then it automatically goes into the following year's budget. That kind of doesn't make sense.
No, I understand what they're saying. That's their pay rate as at the end of December. That's the pay rate is what they were given last July. Okay? I understand that.
But
Okay?
what I don't understand is why does it happen in July?
Because you have to wait till the meeting in March to get approved, and then it goes into July before it kicks in. I'm
But
taking
yet
that,
it's still part of the
right, I'm taking that
sheriff's
3 out.
budget. Okay.
And I'm
Peter,
taking
can I
back
just
to,
interrupt? I know you're the chairperson, but is that in the police budget?
it's in every budget.
Okay, so is there a line item that we're going to attack, or are you just making a blanket statement that that's where you want to go tonight? At some
Salary
point?
line. Regular wages is the line he's talking about.
Okay,
And then
That
at
very
the
top
end,
line.
in every budget, I would recommend the same thing.
okay. I just wanted to.
Unless we want to wait till the end and we do it, I can do that, or say all but non-union salary.
I didn't know,
lines.
I just wanted to.
But we
know where
happen to be
were.
talking about the benefit lines and things and salary lines, that's why I brought it up. But
So-
that's my intention.
So we'll have to go figure out how many non-union employees
Well,
are.
That's easy.
pulled in.
We already have that.
Yeah, we already have
Okay, yeah, that's right, I have an email for that.
And that's why I was giving you that Cheshire Cat look, because I didn't know when you wanted, I was gonna bring that
Cheshire
up, but I
Cat.
didn't know when you wanted, or when I could bring it up, or if I brought it up now, if you'd go, well, not now.
Well, I don't want to give anybody the impression as we pass over these lines
Right.
that we're okay with it. That's why I brought it up right off the beginning. I'm not okay with it.
In my
The
opinion, I
rest
think
of
we
the
should
committee
tackle
may
it
be,
now.
and
It's just helpful for me if you tie it to a line, and just for the way
well,
that I
it's all the
think.
rates, all throughout the whole budget.
But you're talking right
It's
here,
non-
number one, regular wages, right? That's what we're talking about.
And then that affects the benefit lines.
So you're gonna have to go through and
They're all 41,100
do all that.
in each department.
Well, then you're going to be hitting some other lines still,
So do
your
we have
benefit lines.
to go through and
Well,
figure
yeah.
out how many non-union employees?
We already
in
have
each
that.
We already
department?
have that.
We do have it,
It was
okay.
emailed to us.
So how many are there in the police department? I'm curious.
Well, my personal feeling is I wouldn't want to tackle this department by department.
That's what
I mean,
I'm-
if we're going to do it, we should do it across the board
Okay,
and not
okay.
single out any specific department.
Okay, that I can understand.
Which is why I didn't,
Well, I mean,
Bring that up now,
but I don't, my objective was not to give everybody the impression that when we go, okay, we're done with the police department budget, that we're okay with those lines. That's why I brought it up.
my personal preference is to tackle this now for the entire budget.
All right.
That's what I would rather do. Get it out of the way, figure out what we're doing, and then move on from there.
Okay. I think we need to give some guidance to the Board of Selectmen, because they haven't been able to do it in the past, and I'm gonna do the same thing when it comes to, when we're gonna go to the benefit lines, and I'm gonna recommend we cut that by 5% and have, increase the employee participation by 5%. Start the ball rolling. Nobody else has been in, other government entities have not been able to get the ball rolling, so I think a message from us, whether it goes or not, is another, but that's my feelings.
Can we just? I'm a little like confused, not confused, but I kind of like to just spec this out. There's like all these different things. There's longevity pay. There's retirement. Some of them we can control. Some of them we can't. Can we like just kind of list them and
Go
figure
ahead.
out
I
what
don't think
can
there's anything we
control, what
can't control in a non-union personnel.
Well, the retirement. I mean,
Retirement, we can't.
we can't control.
As long as, if they're a
selectmen can't
member
control
of
the
the,
retirement. So what is there? There's salary. There's health insurance.
yeah,
There's
longevity,
And the selectmen are working on the health insurance now. That's a work in progress.
longevity. There's retirement. Are there any other benefits? Anything else that we pay for?
Overtime pay?
Overtime pay.
well, that's part of
I mean,
salary.
that gets figured by the salary, right? FICA, we have absolutely no control. Medicare, we have absolutely no
Well,
control.
that, all those lines will go down once if you decrease your salary lines, those lines go down.
Right, but it'd be pointless for us to just
Oh,
cut the FICA
there's
line
no
out
way
of
we
those.
can, no way we can figure this out.
Nobody
We
can
have to
control
say
that
what our
cost.
objective is.
Yeah, but
Right.
that'll go down if you drop the salary.
Workers' comp is another one that's all tackled. And unemployment
FICA,
insurance, those are all
unemployment,
specified rates,
compensation,
right?
workman's comp.
No, workman's comp goes down too.
Okay, so retirement is completely controlled by the state, right? Is everything else controlled by the selectmen, more or less?
Is retirement controlled by the state?
I'm not sure on non-union personnel if it is. They're not, go ahead, Derek.
The rate is controlled by the state.
The rate of what?
The percentage that we pay on retirement is controlled by the state. There's two groups. There's a group one, municipal employees, and group two for public safety. So there's two separate rates, but that's controlled by the state in the Hampshire retirement.
The rate paid both by the employer and by the employee?
Yes,
both of
they
those are
set
controlled by
both.
the
They
state.
set them separately, but yeah, they set both of those.
Okay.
See, excuse me, can I just
Go ahead,
explain
Ruth.
something? The regular employees pay FICA. and police and fire do not.
They don't pay into
So-
social security.
So that's why there's two different,
So if you pay FICA, you get Social Security. If you don't pay FICA, you're not part of the Social Security
right.
system and you don't get it when you retire.
right.
Okay. Okay, so all three of these things we can control. I still don't understand longevity. This is my third year on this committee. I still don't understand what longevity pay is.
The longer you're here, you get the kick,
Why?
because you've been here for so long.
Well, isn't that already reflected in your salary?
Ask the selectmen.
No.
Is it like a yearly bonus? You've been here so many years and,
I was here when it started. And what happened years ago, patrolmen, and I'll speak to my department, I won't speak to any other. The patrolmen were getting raises.
Steps.
For instance, when I was promoted to sergeant, I took a penny an hour cut in pay from when I was a patrolman.
okay.
Okay, I took a cut in pay to get promoted and have more responsibility. Because the rates for the patrolmen continue to rise. After you're here after 8 years, you no longer see those increases. You don't see the regular step increases as they used to have. You were stagnant, you were there. The longevity increased $5 a week after the completion of 8 years, and it moved every 2 years forward.
So it's not related to cost of living increase? That's
No.
that's a different thing?
Correct.
Okay, the way it used to be, when I first got on a budget committee, there were steps, okay? And every year you got a step. So you'd get your step, which may be like a 5% bump, then you'd also get a cost of living. So they did away with that. They did away with the steps. But during the step process, you got to a certain place where there was only, let's say, 15 steps. Well, in order to give somebody some more compensation, they went to longevity.
It used to be at 8 years you were frozen.
Was it 8 years?
You were done. And so
Then they give you the
Still don't
longevity.
understand why that isn't part of your salary.
It's just not.
I mean, why don't they just do away with longevity pay and set the salary at whatever rate you should be paid, and that should increase based on how many years you've been there?
Then you're going back to a step system again.
Well, I mean, then it would factor, I mean,
I'm just telling you how it was worked. There was so many
when I worked
steps.
for a publisher, we got a bonus every year based on how many years we'd worked there. It was $10 a year. Okay, so you got $10 a year. If you've been there 2 years, you got $20. That was your bonus. I mean, we're talking about a lot more money than that, aren't we?
Couple bucks, yeah. Some was, what, $2,500?
Yeah, 22, 23.
So you're talking about a pretty substantial bonus.
Right,
Okay, and that is also within our control?
yes.
The town's control, I
You
mean?
gotta understand, you know the system. It's a bottom line budget.
I know.
So we can say this stuff and they could pay it anyway. And then next year you're gonna come back and see an expense for it.
Okay, so the health insurance is running at about a 90% contribution on average. It varies, I understand. But on average, it's 90%. The town pays 90% and the employee pays 10?
Yeah, and maybe Selectman LeMay can speak to this, but the Selectmen have changed that calculation. And it depends on the type of plan that
Right.
the employees will be selecting on Tuesday. Some will be getting 80, or the town will be paying 82.5% if they go with one plan. Others, it'll be 91.5. We figured it's a 3.5% increase on what the employees are paying. If they stay with the same plan, again, we won't know that till Tuesday.
So, but the average increase is they're paying
The selectmen increased the employees'
by
portion by
3.5%.
3.5% this year.
Okay.
For 2014.
Okay, so this
3.5 percentage points, or 3.5%.
Of the total
they now pay
contribution.
3.5% more towards their insurance than they used to.
No, they paid 3.5% more of the premium.
The premium cost.
Okay, so whatever the premium is, they pay 3.5% more of it.
3.5 percentage points or 3.5%?
So if the premium's $1,000, they're gonna pay $35 about.
Okay.
Would that be,
That's
be accurate? They're gonna pay $35 more if the premium's $1,000.
So,
Okay.
so what percentage of the total premium is paid for now by the employee?
Well, that's what he's
So
saying.
that's what
We're
he's
gonna
saying, it's a
make that
range between
decision on Tuesday.
82.5 and 91. What do we have any idea what the average is?
Again, we won't know until we see what people select, because we are now offering 2 additional plans.
And
Okay.
that's, Elizabeth, that's why I said that health insurance, that's kind of like a work in progress
Go down.
until we have the meeting and until we know exactly who's going to take what for what insurance. Then I can say they're paying 82.5 or 91% or 90%. I know we have a goal to bring it down or to add more to the employee every year for the next couple of years.
Okay. All right, so when Collis was here before, he said the selectmen are consciously trying to move to a system that more reflects what you would find in private industry.
Correct, yes.
All right, so private industry average is somewhere around 75% contribution, I think, and that's generous, considered a generous employer. I know St. A's is the second biggest employer in town. They are at 74%. I checked today. So we're moving really slowly.
Derek, isn't there a penalty if we charge if we for so much on the percentage?
The thing we have to be careful of is the Affordable Care Act. We have to make sure that the plans are affordable for the employees, so we don't go over that 9% state set by
and then get penalized.
And then get penalized.
Then we get penalized.
Trying to watch that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else about health insurance? Is there anything else to say?
Well, I think the health insurance thing, we may have to wait until a week or so, or 2 weeks, so we get some better numbers. But the way it's written now, I'm not on board.
Okay. What about longevity pay? What did that do in these budgets? Did it go up a percentage? Does it go up the same percentage their raise goes up?
Nope, that just stayed the same. We haven't done nothing with that. Whatever
It used to be-
they are entitled to get is what they get.
Then there used to be 2% every year until you got to 8 years, something like that, and then every 2 years until you get to 20 years.
That's what the chief just said.
Yes, what he was just talking about.
And that's compounded.
Oh, the police
every year.
department went down because you had retirees and you've got younger officers, and so their longevity pay is going to be less, right? So every department's going to fluctuate based on the age of their employees and where they are in their careers.
The longevity pay for the police department is $30,000 right now. Budgeted at $30,000.
Okay. Okay.
But that's been stable. I mean, that's been stable since the last couple of years.
Yep.
But that's,
It has to do with
that's in the contract.
There's no contract with non-union personnel.
No,
But I'm just saying, you don't know, with the non-union personnel, you have to go through the lines and add it up.
right.
Okay. Salary for non-union personnel has been, over the last 5 years, if I remember correctly, it was a 2% raise, and then 3 years of roughly 3%.
Yep.
Derek, is that correct?
No, we had 1 year, I think it was 2010, there was no steps, no
I
COLA.
thought that was before.
No,
That's 2010?
10, I believe, was no steps, no COLA, so that
So
was
that's
0%.
13, 12, 11,
And then
0,
Well, that's, okay, go ahead.
right? And then before that, it was 2%. There was a 2% year in there, I remember.
Okay, I don't know off the top of my head,
All
I'm
right,
sorry.
well, we'll just stick with that then. So those are the last 4 years. And then this year, we're talking about, on average, 2%.
Okay, but that's deceiving because it's cumulative.
Right, so cumulatively, you're talking about probably, I did the math on this too, and it came out to somewhere around 12 or 13% over 5 years.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you had something to say. All right, that's it. I was just trying to get a handle on some of the facts before we start discussing it a little bit more.
Not 2% for next year, it's actually 2.5% if they're getting 3 the first 6 months.
Well, I understand what they're saying, that they already received that 3. That's their salary right now. Okay.
Out of this year's budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Next year is the 14 budget.
Yep.
Starting January 1,
They get their raise
even though it's not approved till March.
in June,
they don't get their raise until July.
July.
So the rate's going to be, their pay, what they got, let's say August 1st of this year, is going to be their pay until June 1st of next year. Would that be accurate? Yeah, well, but I'm just saying.
So the 3% that started in July will continue. for the first 6 months of next year?
Right.
Or this, next year.
First
So,
6 months of 14.
so there is 3%, and then another 2 on top of that.
Right. Over last year's budget.
Mhm.
So you want to take out the, I'm trying to understand, so you want to take out the 3%, just take it out the
Well, it
budget?
would be a 3% pay cut, plus another 2% off the increase.
Okay.
That's how it would actually work out if we're talking about that direction. Maybe we ought to tackle one thing at a time. First would be the 2%.
So you're talking about a 3% reduction starting January 1, pay cut, is that what you just said?
Yeah.
And then eliminating, basically.
These are the raises, last year's
No
raise.
raise. So you're, basically what you're saying is whatever you're making now, you're taking a 3% pay cut, or whatever the 3% amount was, comes out, and that's it for 2014. That's what you're kind of talking about.
Well, I think that what we're hearing on the street is,
Oh, no, I understand what we're hearing on the street. I'm just trying to clarify where you're going.
so maybe the first thing to do would be to tackle the 2%, and then we can look at the other one. Don't try to tie it all together.
Well, isn't it easier just to say, everybody's taking a 3% cut next year, end of story?
I guess you could do it that way.
No, I'd rather do it 2 separate motions, frankly.
Diane, go ahead.
Just for conversation, say you decide to do this, from a managerial's perspective, what does this do to the town's ability to retain good employees?
At the rate we're paying, I don't think there's a problem.
So the pay on the spreadsheet we have, that's the one with the current 3% in it? I'm just trying to make sure that I'm looking at the right numbers.
Yeah, I still don't really, I know you're saying 2, 3, but without numbers, it's hard to wrap my brain around what you're really saying. I know that you're upset, you want to cut.
I'm not upset, I'm just saying what you're hearing on the street is,
Sound a little upset.
I'm just,
So I just, if we can have numbers is kind of what I need if I'm going to make a decision
all
on
right, then what we'll have to do is we'll have to ask Derek to have
we're at the budget committee, right?
we have no way of figuring that all
You
out.
just said you had a list. Elizabeth held up her list there.
We all got emailed a list.
Yeah, but
So,
you can-
talk about your numbers, and also about that impact that this is going to have, because I'm presuming that you're driving for this because you don't want taxes to go up, tax rate. So how is this number, whatever these numbers are, going to have an impact, and what kind of impact is that going to be? Because before I make that decision, I need to.
We have to have the town administrator has to figure those numbers out.
It's a lot
There's
to
all
ask
kinds of,
him to.
Lisa, there's all kinds of other things tied into it, like FICA and MEGA. I mean, all of that, town administration has to do that. We don't have those numbers.
Yeah, I don't know what everybody's deductions are, and there's no way we're gonna know.
Okay, so what is your directive to Mr. Horn?
Well, we haven't done anything, we're
Oh,
talking, we're
still
discussing
talking.
it.
I know, last year we went through the budget line by line, now we're just like making, like, kind of,
Well, no,
We are going to do that.
We're just getting started, Lisa.
oh, we're still on line one, okay.
I mean, look, last year, this is where I'm
We're
coming
not
from.
doing that
Last
right now.
year-
We are
last
talking
year
about a
we
theoretical
sat at
idea.
that
Get control
table
of
in
it.
that room, and we said, this is not sustainable. I mean, I remember those words coming out of my mouth and other people agreeing with me around this table. This is not sustainable. And I didn't mean 20 years from now, I meant now.
We're not going through the budget currently at this moment, line by line.
Lisa, we're dealing with all these lines at once because it's the same across all departments. And we're talking about what information do we want to ask Derek for?
And
So, I mean,
again,
this is, if anything, as they keep pointing out, it's a bottom line budget. The selectmen, no matter what number we give, can say, you know what, we're gonna give them the 2%, we're gonna keep all this in. For me, this is a message.
And
And when
as-
we asked, hold on, can I finish my point, please,
Go
guys?
ahead.
When we
Yeah.
I asked about the employee compensation study that they did in the spring, and Mark said, we looked at it, we're about the same as other towns. Frankly, I think we probably pay a little less than other towns. But the point to me isn't, do we pay less than other towns when every municipality in the country is staring at bankruptcy in anywhere between 1 year and 20 years? It's, do we have a pay structure that is sustainable for our community? And I don't think we do. And I don't think we're moving towards it fast enough.
And is that based on numbers, or is that based on what?
Yes. The driving costs
I want to see the
in these
numbers before
budgets
I make
have
a
been
decision. I guess that's all
healthcare
I'm
costs
saying.
and salaries.
perhaps it would
and
help,
retirement.
Lisa, to remind you that Peter's already mentioned more than once that he only brought this up so that we don't go through department by department, making people think that we're done with them. That's the only reason he brought it up. We don't have all the detailed numbers yet, That's town administration
Okay.
that's gonna bring
I
that
was
in.
just- Okay, I was just bringing up if someone's gonna make a motion like soon, that I would not be prepared to
Okay.
vote on that because I don't have any
Noted.
numbers.
Sonny?
I think, what you're saying, is right. As far as us paying too much. Myself, I'm on Social Security, and my wife is on Social Security. And this year, our Social Security is going to be 1.5%. That's what the government, the U.S. government says Social Security is going to be 1.5%
Your
for the
cost
year.
of living increase.
Cost of living increase, or
But they
adjustment.
put the insurance up, so you're gonna lose it all.
Yeah.
Exactly. But on the average, a person who makes, they figure the average Social Security person makes $1,269 a month. That's $19 a month that they get,
Which is gonna be sucked up by the healthcare anyway.
which is going to be taken by healthcare. As far as the 3% and the 2%, I would be more inclined to say they should get no more than 1.5%. I think it's a drastic change to go from, I got a raise of 3% for this year, come January 1st, I'm losing 3%. So I'm going back. But if we bring them back to 1.5, we're cutting it in half. Come July 1st, instead of the 2%, they would get the 1.5%, which is what the government says the cost of living adjustment is. I think that would be a fairer change, amount, and that would affect all the other lines just like everything else. But to say, we gave you money, now we're going to take it away, that's kind of drastic. And I realize where you're coming from. We have to do something. But I think if we cut it in half, that 3% to 1.5, because I was going to make a motion to make it at 1.5 all the way down the line. I didn't realize about the 3%.
Chad, go ahead.
So just quickly, again, so this sheet that we have, I'm trying to understand it. The current wages that we have are at, those include the 3% that they got July 1st this year?
Right.
Yes.
All right, so, okay. Now I can play around with it for a minute.
Joe, you had your hand up?
Well, I was just going to point out that the longevity pay, as it's listed here for the police department, it comes to 1.4% of the regular wages, which is about their cost of living increase that Sonny was referring to. So anything above that is beyond the inflation rate.
Do you have, Lisa, I don't have that sheets with me, but do you have you looking at non-union and the longevity on non-union?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
For
on there
my
too.
department, I don't have it added up. This is just the spreadsheet that they sent. I just printed it out.
I didn't print it out, so I don't have it in
I
front of
mean,
me.
I can look at the,
No, I'm just curious, I mean,
there's no total on it, but I mean, it looks like on average, most people are getting, well, the most is like 2,700 is for longevity pay in the police department. Nobody's making more than 2,730 of longevity pay, and some people are making as little as $300, $390 looks like it's the lowest.
so how do you want to tackle this?
Just a bit of, you're looking at the fire
Chief,
department.
go ahead.
Only three of the non-union members get longevity. Just put it in perspective. So when you're talking about impacts, that's for you to look at.
So I don't know if I just did the town non-union one. So I took everybody on the admin side. So I just totaled them all up, and the salaries are what I have here are $1,091,776. So it's on the spreadsheet. I took that and I did 97% of that because that would be less the 3%, right? And then I took that amount and then I did that less the 2%.
No.
No. How does
No,
that? Sorry,
stays flat.
I'm trying to figure out how this works.
Stays
The
flat.
2% is on the proposed. The 2% is over here on the budget, the selectmen's side. Because their budget includes a 2.5% increase, 6 months.
Okay. All right. Right. So if you just take the 3% off, say for the town side from that, that's like $32,750, $32,750, and that's probably the biggest one, I think. The next closest is.
Can we take a straw poll? Because the thing is, if we're serious about this, then we should have the town administrator run the numbers. And if we're not serious about this, then we shouldn't waste your time.
I would agree. I'm not prepared to make a decision on this tonight without getting a little bit more as far as the numbers go.
That's all I was trying to say before.
You should have said that then.
I understood exactly what she was saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Thank you, Brian.
But the thing is, we can't do that. That's the town administrator has to do that. We don't have the ability to do that.
Okay.
Well, it gives us
It's all
time
kinds
to
of-
think about your proposal.
Okay. So what do you want to do?
And know what the real numbers are.
Let's just move on, and then we'll tackle this. We'll come
Wanna-
back to this.
But if you
Next-
want to
Well,
ask.
no, we want to get the information, so we have to ask for it.
Can we take, like I said, take a straw poll? If this is something you would like to hear, yet you are seriously considering and would like to hear more about, then say yes. You want to make a motion to that effect? I don't know how you make a motion for a straw poll, but.
How about
How
Peter?
about requesting the information from the town administrator? Make a
That
motion.
sounds great.
Okay, so I'm making a motion that we request the information from the town administrator to factor in what the reduction of the 2% raise and from July to December, and the 3% raise from January to, or the 3% pay from January to end of June.
I don't know if that's worded quite right, but I think we get the
with
general
all the
idea.
other-
With all associated benefits.
Derek?
Just so I can be clear, you want a 3% reduction in non-union salary and no raise come July 1st.
That would be accurate.
Yeah, we want to see what the numbers look like, with all associated benefits.
Who seconded that?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion on it? All in favor of requesting the information that Elizabeth just brought up? Raise your hand. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That was unanimous. All right, so let's move on.
You can call me Liz. You can just shoot it over to this corner and one of us.
There you go.
Not to kill the thing, but how about the longevity? Are you leaving that alone? I make a motion
really
we
don't
cut.
understand
I'm
longevity.
going to
and
make a
that's what
motion
you
we
do
cut the
with it.
longevity pay. That's throughout the whole thing. That's a motion now. That's not to have more information. That's just my motion. Go ahead, Shay. I'm sorry, it's not seconded yet, so
Wait, can you repeat it?
I want to cut longevity.
100%.
By how much?
100%.
So zero out those lines, that's what you're.
Zero
that's
out
your
the
motion.
longevity. That's my motion.
Throughout the budget.
Throughout the budget. Non-union personnel. You can't do anything with a contracted people.
Do they have it in all departments?
Pardon me?
Do they have it in all the departments?
Can we table an unseconded motion?
No.
I don't think I'm ready to go there.
I want to see the other numbers first.
After somebody seconds it, then you can table it for discussion later, at a later date.
You want to table it if I second it?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Motion to table.
I'll second that.
Till next week. It's just that, Peter, I want to see what they're going to come back with next week on the town before I consider tackling the longevity. I just want to see first.
That's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Well, not only that.
Somebody's
but they-
got to start doing something.
Oh, yeah,
'cause
no.
We're not doing anything
Exactly.
before.
Well, not only that is what I'd like to do is, as we're going through all the budgets, I'd like to look at each one of the longevity, just all of
You
it,
have
and
to
kind
have
of
your-
decipher it.
you
So
have
then
to have your
at the end, I can say,
non-union
okay, yeah, I agree with that, I disagree with that, or whatever.
Okay, so it's table till Tuesday?
To just,
All right, till next Wednesday?
Sure, I'd like to understand it a little better.
So the motion is to table this till next Tuesday. Everybody in favor?
I'm sorry. Are you just doing the non-union on that? Because the union people have longevity also.
You can't, they have a contract.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because they got longevity also.
Okay.
Just so I'm clear, so we're tabling it and then,
Next Wednesday, we'll bring it up again. Or if somebody, as soon as somebody decides to take it off the table.
but we're tabling it because we wanna think
We want-
about it? Is
we
that
want
what you
more
were
We
saying?
want to get some more numbers. Well, I'll put
So
the-
you're asking Derek for numbers?
We don't need that. We have
Have
those
the numbers, we're
Okay,
just not
so
ready to
someone's
do
gonna
anything on it yet.
total them, or?
Yeah.
I have those numbers too, that was an email that was sent
Yeah,
to me.
it's on this thing
Okay,
that
I
they
didn't
sent
look at
out
that.
about
Okay.
salaries.
This.
Yeah.
Gotta find that, Elaine.
It was
Every
early
department.
November, I
That's all
think,
it
that it
is.
got sent out.
Yeah, I didn't look at that.
Okay, so we tabled it yet?
Yep,
Yeah.
it was tabled, we voted.
Let's move on. Okay. Lisa, you want to go line by line now?
Hey, it's up to you guys, I mean, I just wanted to know what we were doing. A little.
I think the only problem we had really with going through line by line now, you can't compare last year to this year because they move stuff around like,
Right.
Right.
they try to do that every year, so it
Can I ask one more
confuses the
question,
budget
Chief?
committee. Go ahead.
Do you know, Chief, what, of your increase, do you know how much of it was due to personnel-related lines?
That, without question, do I have a percentage off the top of my head? I can calculate it, but,
I'm not so interested in the percentage as the amount, like the amount that is not related to personnel. I'm sorry, I know you don't have it like right on the,
Pretty small.
Johnny on the spot there, but,
Level funded it, that'd probably solve the problem.
What's that?
okay,
I would say.
You took that right there,
Okay.
85%.
Personnel chief, that makes up 90-some-odd% of your budget anyways, right?
97% of my budget is personnel.
Yeah, okay. Around emergency management?
I'm ready.
Okay.
So are we done with the police? There's nothing there that... Chair?
No, nothing, no, I was just thinking.
Right, are we making motions, or we?
Yeah, now is the
Yeah,
time to
make some
cut.
motions.
Okay, I want
Go
to
ahead.
make a motion
Go ahead.
on furniture and fixtures.
Circled with a negative sign, but go ahead.
Page 5?
We're on
Page 5, page 5,
We're on 48,
48440.
Near the bottom.
Yep. Last year, 2012, they spent 937. This year, they spent 0. And according to the chief, we had talked, and he said he had a chair that was. I wasn't on the committee, but he said he had a chair that was broken. He was going to have it fixed. Obviously, it hasn't been fixed, and now they're asking for $2,000 for that. I think we should lower that number by $1,000. So I make a motion to drop the $1,000 from the request for 2014 on furniture.
So the motion, that's the motion?
That's the motion.
Seconded for discussion. So you're talking about cutting line 48440 from 2,000 to 1,000.
That's correct.
Any discussion on that?
was that item possibly one that the bill is still coming in?
He talked about it.
No, he said he never fixed it.
Okay.
Chief, what do you need? What do you need again? Chairs?
Nothing, I'm all set, thank you.
No, he said that he uses the money for, which is fine, it's a bottom line number. He uses it, then the money for other things at the end of the year to pay for whatever he's over. So the chair never got fixed. And according to Peter, that was one of the items last year that he said, we'll give you the money for the furniture so you can get your chair fixed. So obviously it didn't get fixed, because it's 0 right now.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion to cut $1,000 out of 48440, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4. No, it can't be right.
I
Opposed?
abstain. I abstain.
You abstaining? 1 abstention
Chief
and
opposed.
2 opposed. Anything else?
I just have a question for,
Go right ahead.
Mr. Lemay, is it Lemay?
Yep.
Mark Lemay.
Mark Lemay. Okay, I was just confused when the library came in and they talked about employee development. You weren't here that night, but I didn't get a chance to ask Collis Adams. Employee development here for the police department.
Yep.
It looks like you dropped it down, the Board of Selectmen dropped it down by about $4,000. In past 2 years, it was about $17,000. And Selectman Adams had made the case that, you know, in the library's case anyway, I think it was about $3,500, that it was very important that you cut that line. And I was just curious why you wouldn't have either cut more from the police, or, I guess that's my question, why wouldn't you have dropped it down to figures from the past 2 years that were actuals?
The conversation with the board is because currently he has, how many members do we have on in school, chief? We're going for
2 employees and a BA, 2 and an MA.
Yeah, it's because of the numbers of personnel that are currently enrolled in the program, and we felt that that's what
That's a small portion of it. Part of that budget also is my ammunition, the firing ranges, qualifications, targets.
In employee development?
It's all in employee development, all of that. So, I mean,
And you anticipate it to be, because the last 2 years was about 17,000, and this year you put in for 28, and they lowered it down to 20. I was just curious as to why it was so much more than the actuals, or why you thought it would be.
we've had 2 people, one person additional moved up in the master's program, so that was one issue. Another person has done backward degree. In addition to that, we're so far back order on ammunition, if it all does come in at once, we've got some severe issues as far as paying for it.
Okay.
The ammunition is back ordered sometimes 9 to 12 months to get bullets started on.
And that's an employee, that seems weird to me.
Well,
That's
it's
just
employee
practice.
development because it's part of maintaining our certifications.
it's part of training. It's in the
Okay,
it's in
that makes
training.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the 4 people are.
Whoa, 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 one person at a time. Please be recognized before you speak. Liz, go ahead.
The 4 people in school are in the middle of programs. They've already begun.
Shay?
So so the selectmen increased the amount for employees in the police department, wanted to
No,
or not,
they
or-
decreased it still, but they didn't increase it as much as they did for the library. That's what my
That's-
question
okay,
was.
so that's what so.
They didn't go back to actuals.
Okay.
Selectman Lemay, what's the cost to run somebody through the program, the training, the police academy?
I don't know, chief.
There is no cost.
It's free?
It's, the cost of the academy itself is free. I still have to pay the employee, et cetera, that comes out of salary line.
And then you pay
But the cost, when you get a ticket for speeding for $75, and it's a $70 ticket, that $5 goes towards the police academy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, you said you have orders in for ammunition,
Correct.
okay? And if it hits, you'd be in trouble. If you have an order in for ammunition, you've issued a PO, that would be a already encumbered fund, so it really wouldn't affect anything that you have already ordered this year for next year. So that shouldn't affect, your encumbered monies from this year should not affect next year's budget. Is that correct? That's the way the encumbrances work.
It should be. We just found, I believe, a $2,200 order that was not encumbered. So we put that in the last couple of days. But it's been an order. Again, we've had change in personnel, et cetera. So range officers, I've had support services personnel, with the turnover that we have, we got mixed up.
Kai, did you have your hand up?
Elizabeth has her hand up.
Who? I'm sorry, Elizabeth.
I'm not ready to make a motion, but can we talk about the extra officer? I know we're not in a very good mood, but I still think the chief made a very serious, passionate statement to us about the necessity of this extra officer, and I think we at least need to talk about it.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you were here the night Guy addressed it, were you? I don't know.
I think I've been here every night except for one school night, so I probably was, but
The night that we had some of the people from the public came in and spoke about it?
Oh, yeah, we did. And that we don't know that the selectmen would use the money to actually hire the officers
Right.
since they've already
No,
cut it.
no, that's not the point. We don't know that the selectmen who removed this money would approve the hiring.
That's true.
Now, if we put the money in, the very people who took the money out, likely, in my opinion, are going to say, we're not hiring that officer, but the money is now in the budget and is going to go somewhere else. That's why I'm not in favor, since the selectmen have already shown they're not in favor of it. And we could throw the money back in the budget, but my thinking is the guys who took it out are going to say, no, you're not hiring it, because they know what it's going to cost next year. That's my 2 cents.
Diane?
We could, of course, ask our selectmen's rep to go back to his board and inquire as to if we put the money in the budget, if they would consider putting it back in and honor the spirit with which it was put back in the budget.
Mark, what's your feelings on that?
The night we had our discussion, it was not a unanimous vote, it was a 3-2 vote, and there was quite a bit of discussion. I would be more than happy, because I'm in favor of adding the police officer back into the budget, because I've seen the numbers in crime go up, I know what's happening. I'll go back and ask the board to put the money in for that member for the police department, explicitly for the police department. If you're not gonna do it, we don't put the money back in, and he's not gonna get it to spend it anyplace else.
So you're going to ask the Board of
I
Selectmen
will.
to commit to hiring an officer?
Yes, I will,
Okay.
If we vote it.
if you voted.
We haven't voted anything
Yeah.
yet.
Remember you asked me a couple weeks ago to speak my piece, I speak my piece, but I also speak what the board wants.
Yeah, I've spoken to the other members of the board, too. And what I asked you was whether or not, when you answer the questions that I put to you, if you're answering from a personal perspective or as a representative from the board.
I will answer from the representative of the board always.
So this budget was supported 5-0.
It was supported 5-0, but if you look back when the issue, I was in favor of hiring the budget, or doing the budget.
Right.
But when it came time for hiring the police officer, I was in favor of hiring a police officer, not losing the police officer.
Understand, I'm in favor of an extra officer, too, but I'm not in favor of lighting a match to the money, because if the very people who said no are likely not to change their minds, then I'm not going to do it.
But I'll bring it back to the board, and I will tell them it's explicitly the wish of this board, if we vote on it tonight, to hire the police officer back and to use the money for that and nothing else. And if they're not going to go,
That's not our wish.
I think
What we want to know is, if we put this money in,
Yes.
are they committing to hiring? We're not saying we wish to put it in. We're not saying we wish to hire an officer. It's not our call. What will they do? Will they commit to hiring if we refund that line? That's what we want to know.
yes. I think you and I are on the same page, I'm just,
Okay.
I'm expressing it different. Yes.
Okay.
Lisa?
That's what I was gonna say. Okay, so in the end. So we just need him to go back and say, if it is the wish of this committee to put that officer in, if we do add that money back in,
Don't say it's the wish, we haven't voted on
I
it yet.
said if we vote on it, and we put that officer back in, what is the feeling of the Board of Selectmen on whether or not they would approve the hiring of that officer? Is that what you're saying?
I want a commitment from them.
Okay. So will they commit to that?
And what will happen if there's a new Board of Selectmen next year?
They can't commit for another
Right,
board.
right.
So then can we really ask that question?
We can ask, but what kind of commitment can they make?
I mean, is
They
it-
really can't.
Is it a meaningless type of discussion?
I know that the same 3 selectmen who voted against it are still going to be on the board next year.
But you know what, just to play devil's advocate and to flip it around, if you're talking about making cuts to a budget to make a statement, I mean, the same could be said for adding in a position to make a statement, so.
Who's making a statement?
I said I was.
Earlier in our discussions, right, that's what you were saying about making the cuts to the health care and longevity pay and salary. We'll at least send a message to the Board of Selectmen for the wishes from the Budget Committee. So the reverse could be said.
Understood. So what do you want to do?
Well, I don't know, have we talked about this enough? I mean, should we review the numbers? If, in 2015, I mean, there's all different, he gave us 3 different numbers for when, according to when we would hire. In 2015, the price was gonna be $65,000 in the budget. My understanding was that was both salary and benefits?
Perhaps, may I?
Go ahead. Hold on.
Perhaps we might want to discuss it all after we get our answer next week. Because otherwise we're spinning our wheels. We could be spinning our wheels if we get a resounding no.
But
So
we just
perhaps-
said there
maybe,
would be-
Well, I think, Guy, I think that the question here is, let's say we got a yes from the Board of Selectmen.
Right, it's
Okay,
still,
well, wait a second now. Is this board still gonna go along with it? I think that's what you're asking, right?
Yeah.
Isn't
I
it-
don't know where I stand on it yet.
Yeah.
I think we need to flesh it out and figure out what we're doing. And I think it's worthy when the chief comes to us and makes this kind of statement. Clearly, this was the most important thing in his budget. At least that was my impression. I think it deserves some discussion. And we may not agree with the Board of Selectmen. We may, but, you know, that's the whole point of us being here. It's not just to make cuts.
And
It's to
it
make
could be,
adjustments.
the
either
majority
way.
of the board may not be in favor of adding them,
You're absolutely right.
or vice versa. So you
It
don't
deserves
know
a talk
until.
and it deserves a vote.
yeah, but
Go ahead, Guy.
perhaps it deserves discussion, it deserves a vote next Wednesday,
Why?
after Mark comes back.
But we just talked about that, and we said there's gonna be new Board of Selectmen reps next year. Even if they make a commitment, it doesn't really mean much, because there's gonna be new people there.
So our discussion, really, what you're proposing is that we discuss adding, 19,000 something this year and committing to 65 next year without having a clue how that money's gonna be spent.
We don't know how any of the
Well,
money's
no,
gonna really be spent.
Right.
Sorry.
But your whole
The
point
budget.
is because you want an additional officer, and we have no clue if we'll ever get one for that expenditure. We don't have any idea.
Well,
That
I'm
might
more
be-
than willing to make a motion that frames it in such a way that, you know, if the selectman's answer is no, then the motion is withdrawn. I mean, like I said, I'm not even sure if I want to make a motion.
Good.
Richard, let's move on with where we are right now. And when we get to the end, we'll know how much money we're gonna have, and then we can go ahead and decide we wanna do that. But we're gonna sit here and argue about this forever, and we ain't got much time to finish this budget. You know, I say we go to the bottom. My theory of this whole thing is, I look at the town and I see they need new fire trucks, I see they need new highway trucks, I see that they need a new police officer because they didn't get it back. And I'm saying to myself, when we get to the end of this whole thing, we got a road plan that we could forget about for a year and do some of these things we need to do and catch up with them. So we aren't where we are right now, because we're gonna be right here next year doing the same thing over.
And the year after that, and the year after that, and the year after that.
Yeah, but, no, if we catch up and they do it right, we won't have them problems anymore.
Never gonna catch up.
Well, we can try to. And you know, it's $60,000 here, and it's gonna be another $60,000 there. And when we get all done at the end, we're not gonna wanna even do that. Because it's gonna cost too much money, you know? Let's go to the end. Let's come up with a figure. And then if we wanna go back at the very end and decide if we wanna put that police officer in, we'll do it.
Okay. What do you wanna do? I understand
Move
what
on.
you're saying.
Well, wait. I'm willing to wait. I'm willing to wait until we hear back from what the selectman said. I'm willing to wait until we get to the end. I think, in my opinion, I think that this should be higher in the priority list than it seems to be right now.
Okay, I can understand that. All right. Anything else in the police department? Sonny?
Want to make a motion on animal control 52320, page 6. Animal service and expenses. 2012, they asked for 32, they spent 46. This year, they've asked 3,200 and they spent $42. And the proposal is 3,200 for both. I'd like to reduce that by $1,600 and make it a $1,600.
Now it's a motion?
That's the motion.
Second is for discussion. Any more discussion? Any discussion on it? Anybody?
Just a quick question.
Go ahead.
Sonny, how'd you come up with the 1,600?
I just cut it,
But
I could cut it 3,000 if you want.
no, I was just curious if you had.
He just cut it in half.
I just cut it in half, that's all.
Okay. All right.
Seeing that he's only used 46 and 42, if we give him $1,600, I don't know, that obviously the animal control is not a big issue in the town right now. Maybe it will be, but I think $1,600 is more than enough.
Elizabeth?
In the chief's write-up that he did, he said some of this money is reimbursed through the town through fees. Do you have any idea how much?
I'd have to go through my monthly, last month I think it was $100-something in kennel fees back to the town.
Okay.
Those are fines for when we take care of the dog, care for the dog, feed the dog. We will take one at a time. No one wants to come the dog, if the dog is injured, no owner. We own that dog. We own these vet bills and everything else to go along with it. Before we put it down. So that's what we do.
Okay. So reducing that line, would that change the services that? Would we not take care of stray dogs anymore? Would we tell people?
We would not go after stray dogs. We wouldn't pick up stray dogs. The only dogs that I'd have to be concerned with under state law are the dogs that bite people and have no rabies tags, at which point they have to be quarantined for a certain number of days.
Okay.
And then examined by a vet.
Okay.
So do you use so of that $3,200? Do you use that money and then it comes back as reimbursed?
When it's given back to the town,
yeah,
it's given back to the general fund.
Okay.
Any more discussion on the motion to reduce line 52,320 by $1,600? Brian, did you have a question?
I guess I'm just confused why it has only been 46 and 42.
It's the small amount of dogs that we can't locate owners for. That's the issue. The animals that we can't locate owners for, that we're stuck with the bills, the food, etc. That's the small amount. We seek reimbursement for everything else.
So it's like you could buy with a couple $100.
Really?
Well, I guess I'm just trying to understand it.
The concern here is that I have a stray dog that I have no owner for that bites a child. The town is on the hook for the care of that dog, the quarantine of that dog, and then the examination of that dog by a vet after the quarantine period is over. For a couple $100, that's gone with one dog.
Do you know what that number's been like past years before that? I mean,
Again, we actively seek to try to find owners.
yeah.
We've been very fortunate to find owners.
Yep.
Were you amending that motion?
Thinking about it.
What happens at the end of the period with that, like, you only spent $4,200, what happens to the other $3,168 or $58?
You mean the $42?
Yeah.
The $4,200?
Yeah, 42, out of the 3,200, you spent 42. What happens to the rest of that money?
Either it's placed onto another budget line that's overexpended, or it's turned back into the town.
Okay.
And I think if you look down a couple lines, like fleet maintenance, for instance, is currently overexpended. So that would be used to offset a line such as that.
Okay, but we adjusted for that over expenditure.
Right, but that's just an example from the current budget year.
Okay. But we adjusted for that over expenditure now, but we didn't adjust to where we took it from. All right, a motion on the floor is to reduce that line by $1,600. Any more discussion on it? All in favor of reducing that line to $1,600. The line number is 52,320. Everybody know what line we're looking at?
Yep.
All in favor, signify by raising your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10-4.
Did somebody second that? Do we need to second that before we vote on it?
He did.
Yeah,
I
I
did.
did.
For
I
discussion.
seconded it for discussion, so. So we got 10-4 against. 1, 2 against. Abstaining?
I was on the against, I'm sorry.
So you're okay. Okay, so the motion passes to cut that line by $1,600. So we're gonna fund that line at $1,600. Got it?
Yeah, I'm just adding stuff on.
Anything else? Anybody got anything else for the police? On the police lines? Emergency management? There's nothing really there to, a whole lot. And we go to communications.
I have a question about the maintenance charges for the equipment on page 8. I noticed that the Board of Selectmen decreased what you had asked from 22,000 to 17,400. I don't know why there's a different, I mean, over the last couple of years you've spent 9,000 in 2012 and 6,000 this year so far. Is there any reason why there's a big increase this year, or is this like you haven't spent the whole limits in prior years? Why are you still asking for?
Part of it is an increase in the maintenance contract for our IMC that we just completed installed.
Okay.
Sonny's got a question.
I'm sorry, Sonny, go ahead.
Furniture and fixtures, 48,440. Want to make a motion and reduce that by $1,500.
By how much?
$1,500.
What line was that?
48,440.
48440,
Okay, on the
page
furniture.
8.
I'm sorry, Sonny, by how much again?
$1,500.
$1,500. Bring it down to 1,000.
Second for discussion.
Reason I'm doing that is 2012 and 2013 gave them $3,500. They spent zero. And this year they're asking for $2,500. Same reason as I did before. Obviously, they're not fixing furniture and fixtures. They're using the numbers for other things. So that's the reason I'm asking for $1,500 less.
Any discussion? Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of reducing that line, 48,440 by 1,500 to make it 1,000. All in favor, signify by raising your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4. Opposed? 1, 0. And abstaining? 1. Okay. I want to make a motion to cut line 44150 by $1,000 to make it, leave $150 in it.
Second for discussion.
It's nice to supply people with uniforms and stuff, but if you go in there, you only It's a small window, you don't really see that many people that often in there, so we're looking for places to work on, that would be one.
Well, yeah, and I mean,
We're not doing it now, that's a new program.
What?
That's a new program, uniforms.
Can I speak?
Go ahead.
I have a note here that just says getting basic uniforms for dispatchers, taking money out of another line. So we can ask the chief, but when you say it's a new program, is that what you mean?
Well, I
You
mean,
made
it's a new program for us, they only got $200 in it. In the previous, they didn't spend anything, $200, they spent $6. So now they want to, they got $1,150 budgeted.
Okay, so maybe, I don't know if we want to ask, but maybe they are getting new uniforms for the dispatchers, and previously that money had come out of another line. I don't know, that's what my notes say.
If it's true, which line did it come out of? Because then we would reduce that line by that amount of money that was taken out of it.
Okay.
I asked that question of the chief when he presented his budget, and I understand he's ordering uniforms for them this year, and it's coming out of his police department budget to pay for them. And then this would be new for next year to add to those uniforms. He's just starting them out to get them going.
A new program that costs money, that's what it is, it's another program, so.
It's uniforms, though, it's not like...
Yeah, but they haven't had uniforms.
Yeah, and they're behind it. Have you been in there?
Okay.
You know, they're not like out on the street, and they're behind a window.
the chief had his hand up.
Chief, go ahead.
It's not a new program. What happens is it's cut so much over the past 7 or 8 years that at $200, how do you break out a uniform supply equally among 8 dispatchers with $200? So that program has been placed on hold. That's the problem. It's just, there's no money there to realistically and equitably provide uniforms, even a shirt for a person, for 8 dispatchers. $200 won't get you there. That's the problem.
Okay, thank you.
Are the dispatchers required to wear uniforms to work?
They're required to be dressed in a uniform fashion, not necessarily a uniform, and so they look appropriately. When you come up to them, I mean, I have people asking for directions. I think this month alone, we had 300 and something window contacts, so people just walking up. We have 300 people that come through the front door in the course of a month to deal with dispatch alone, not to mention records. In addition to that, we have the prisoners coming in, we have people coming to bail people, et cetera. So we have a large number of people coming in. We want more uniforms there.
Do you have an idea of just how much like shirts would cost?
Right in front of me, no, I just purchased, I believe, 1 shirt and 1 pant for each dispatcher currently. I'm looking to get another pair of pants and another pair of shirts.
So a pair of pants and a pair of, how much was that? Just curious. You don't know? Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. Just curious.
$50.
I don't, yeah. I'm just thinking what would be to do shorts and not pants.
For a uniform, it's roughly $50, $54 for a pant, and I'm off the top of my head, $54 for a pair of pants, and another $40 for a shirt because we have the embroidery on the patch.
So under $100 for 8 people is about $800.
That's only one, that's one day.
Well, you only have one, you get one set.
He's asking for 2 shirts and
Yeah,
a
but
pair
when
of
you work
pants.
Oh, that's for 2 and 2.
When you
Okay.
work-
I didn't realize that.
2 shirts and 1
Yeah.
shirt.
I'm still sticking with it. I mean, I don't want to start any more things like that. I mean, it's just, things like that continue to grow and grow and grow. You know, next we'll be supplying them with a week's worth of uniforms, which I know Brian supplies his guys with uniforms.
I got it.
I think I might cut that line too.
All in favor of reducing that line?
What were you reducing it to?
To
150.
To 150.
You're you're reducing it to 150?
$150. I'm taking $1,000 out of it. We've been able to find the money in other places before. I'm sure we can do it again if he wants to continue the program. All in favor of reducing that line by $1,000, signify by raising your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Abstaining? 1. All right, anything else? We're still on communications?
We're still on communications?
Yes, we just finished up communications.
I want to go back to that equipment maintenance line.
What page?
8.
Yeah. I guess what I want to know is we just put that new system in. Now, what's the deal, Chief? Every year we have a maintenance on this?
Correct. We've had our whole programs, et cetera, updates, et cetera, so.
But I guess what I want to know, and I mean, you have to understand, especially looking back at the equipment line, what has been spent. I just want to know what is it costing to maintain this? I mean, you must have a maintenance contract of some sort, or?
It's a maintenance contract that we have. I have to dig that out. The maintenance contract, in addition to that, repairs the antennas, the equipment itself. It just depending on what's going on with what, as far as the radio itself, as well as the computer systems. Sure.
Real quick, the radio system actually changed over the past couple of years from a single site, transmitter site off the summit and receive, to multiple sites scattered throughout town, a motor repeater system. So it's now maintaining not just one site, but a total number of 5 sites now. So that's why you'll see the increased cost on that. It's both fire and police when you talk about townwide communications.
And Chief, I don't disagree with that, but I guess what I'm looking, you have to understand when I'm looking at these numbers. They had 15,000 in 2012. They used $9,000, right. And then we bumped it up to 22,400, and we're at 6,200.
There's a word called warranties. The warranties are up now. So unfortunately, the equipment has usually a 1-year warranty on it. So now if anything goes down, we own it. And the system is a microwave system with a computer backup. So like any electronic system like that, it requires a constant oversight and maintenance and upkeep, and for it to run effectively. So yeah, I wouldn't say that we're constantly calling technicians up there, but when we need them, it's usually like a computer board, or it could be a transmitter board, or something at the tower at the summit gets blown down or something like that. So it could get costly, and I think every penny is probably going to be needed.
How many times have we changed radio systems like in the last 10 years?
Once. We had 3 different phases.
That's what I thought.
Right. Police, fire, and then the communication system itself, or DPW as well. But it was part of the whole project.
It was grandfathered.
That was federally mandated or something, correct?
Well, a couple of things happened at the same time. There was a federal mandate to what's called narrowband.
Yeah.
And so what that meant is our equipment was substandard and actually would have been not allowed under the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. So we were fortunate enough to get at least a 50% matching grant to get fire, police, and DPW with all the equipment replaced and upgraded. So what we're seeing now is the true life of the cost of updating and maintaining the system.
But correct me if I'm wrong, DPW paid for their own last year because they pulled it out of the salt line. Am I wrong or right in saying that?
50% of it. Yeah. The 50%, it was a 50% match for what we call the EMPG grant fund. Yeah. Without that, you would have had to pay double.
Okay.
So just to clarify, in 2011, we spent $44,7594, and that was under warranty.
Well, you were in transition there because you had one site for police, and they were putting the fire sites, that voter repeater system online with a grant. And in 2012, we got the police switched over to a voter repeater system with the multiple sites. So it's kind of like we had extending warranties because you had the police system equipment was on warranty. Ours was coming off, so it was a 2 or 3 year process.
I gotta ask this question because it's obvious here. We put in a brand new system, but it's costing us over $12,000 a year more to maintain it?
Remember, you have 5 sites, not just one. You maintain it. Okay?
Is that statement accurate, though?
Sorry?
Is that my statement accurate?
There
are other items that we're paying from, maintaining the equipment. The maintenance contracts we have are not that total amount.
Okay.
I believe it also includes the equipment and dispatch also.
Well, we're working in communications, it should be. Now, we used to have a line for Tower Electric. Is that still the electricity line we're seeing? We're not using towers anymore, right? We're not using that tower anymore?
Yes, absolutely we are.
I'm so freaking confused now. I thought we had 5 sites around town. Now we're still getting rid of the tower, and now we have 5 sites. Now we got more things here.
Chief, you want to explain how the repeater system works with the main voter site so that they have a better insight on the way the radio system works, please?
The backbone of the voter repeater system is on the south side. Okay, so the tower. Okay, up there you have a main building that has the generator that the chief spoke about earlier. So it's got backup electricity, and on that tower site, it receives all the microwave signals from all the remote sites that are around town. The problem we had before was the fact that our radios couldn't reach the tower on the summit because our signals couldn't overcome the hills that we have in town. So the system we have now is designed so all we have to do is, for example, if I picked up this radio right here, all I have to do is reach the tower over here at station 18. And then 18 then takes that signal and transmits it to the south summit. All right? And it boosts the signal. All right? So for example, I could theoretically talk to somebody on this radio from here and talk to somebody in Bernardville at Bernard Square on a similar small low voltage radio, because they're hitting local towers and we're kind of bouncing things across. That's how it works.
I can do that.
So yeah, similar to what your cell phone is doing. Okay?
Different towers, right.
Yeah, so we've kind of worked on that same backbone, but the microwave system is a more secure system, and it runs at a different frequency level than your cell phone does. So to maintain all these systems and to make sure that they're all working right, and unfortunately they're exposed to the weather, and they're like computer programs and software and hardware. And it's exposed to the elements. So to get someone to climb a tower on a snowy day, you tend to pay some money for it. But it's worth it because the system is proven to obviously make our job safer because we can effectively call for help, or dispatch can call us throughout town without much of a problem anymore. So that's and as far as the equipment line goes, obviously it includes other equipment contracts that chief has in dispatch.
Okay. Ask a question.
Huh?
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, ask a question.
Mark, why did you guys drop it by $5,000?
I believe just
I mean, they're making a pretty good case. I want to understand why you guys did what you did.
I believe it was because knowing the system, knowing how it works, and just knowing it in general, we felt looking and speaking amongst ourselves that this number here would suffice for any of the issues that we had.
Okay.
Shay?
So this, in the packet you gave us, Chief Sullivan, it said there's a $9,400 contract that we have. That's a new contract this year for the maintenance of it.
We do have a contract for the maintenance of our radio system, the maintenance contract.
Okay, so and that's new for this year.
It will come online this year, yes.
It'll come online this year, so that it'll be, and that'll take care of like the base level, not emergencies, or what's that take care
It's
of?
going to be a maintenance contract to maintain it. Not for emergency repairs, not for emergency call-outs, basically primary maintenance, updates, upgrades of the software, et cetera.
Okay.
No more hardware, just all.
Correct.
Any other questions?
And out of that entire line, there could be repairs to hardware, make no mistake of it. If something fails, it has to come out of that line. But are there new purchases anticipated out of that line to enhance the system? No. It'd be all repairs.
All right. Let's move over to, what are we going to next? Town hall.
All righty, I think we all done with police. Anything else? How about CIP items for police?
Right?
30.
Where is it?
30, page 30.
And I believe that's where the adjustment for the fleet maintenance line came out of, correct? Wasn't that the idea? One cruiser went out, fleet maintenance was adjusted to cover the maintenance on
Right.
the older vehicle that was gonna remain in service longer.
Any questions on that? And we switch to the SUV model.
When are the new cruisers coming in?
Well, you can't order them until.
No, I'm saying from last year. Did they already come in?
They're in, I think one of them's been crashed already. This last snowstorm, someone ran this, I think was a new one, pull out the whole side of it, so.
Perfect. Nice.
Anything else for the police department? All right, seeing we got, what do we want to do next?
Next in line.
Yeah, next in line would be town hall.
Admin.
Yeah. You want to take over for a few minutes there?
You guys got this one on page 9?
Yep.
Yep.
Getting there. So in my notes, I have a total increase in this department of about 120,000.
I've got 84 on the site.
84 was on.
I have 120.
I guess I'd ask my same question.
Oh, excuse me. Are you talking about the entire town hall budget, or are you talking about this page here, which is
Talking about the
admin?
entire town hall.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
So, do you have any idea of what percentage of that is related to personnel costs and what percentage of that is not?
I don't know what the personnel costs are. I know we've got about 40,000 in IT costs for software, for any finance software. And for the next year, we need to carry the old finance software as we're converting data over, as well as some other software license agreements. So 40,000 of the increases in IT.
Okay. Okay.
I think the other increases, one of our employees was at one point a quarter in admin, then split out amongst other departments. It's now completely in admin and economic development, 100%, so it's full time.
Okay.
Anybody have anything else on admin and economic development?
Yep.
Sorry?
Employee development, 44300. like to reduce that $2,500.
Making a motion?
Yep, making a motion to reduce that line by $2,500.
Employee development.
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to reduce line 44300 from 4330 by 2500 to a total of 1830.
That's correct.
Go.
I know you have one employee in town hall that's in the middle of a credential program or a graduate program. How much of that cost is associated with from that line? Do you know?
I don't have that breakout. I can get that for you. But
Do you know what else is in that line?
I don't off the top of my head. No.
As I recall, what Sue DeRusso said was that the reason it was underspent in previous years is that the employee in question was too busy to actually
That's what I
pursue the
Yeah.
MBA courses.
That's correct.
I didn't write MBA, it just said employee hasn't had time to attend is all I wrote. I didn't hear the word MBA. So I'm not sure what we're attending,
Yeah.
is being attended.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, ready to vote? Motion on the floor to reduce line 44300 from 4330 to 1830. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Okay, opposed? Mark? Ruth?
I'm abstaining.
You're
'cause
abstaining?
I need more
I
information.
do too. I need to know what's in that line.
3 abstentions?
That's it.
Okay. Yours, by the way, I'll take note of who did what.
You got it down?
Yeah.
Okay.
You abstained, right, Diane?
I think yes.
Mark, you said no, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Anything else?
Motion passes, by the way, 941.
941, so that line is reduced, 44,300 is reduced to 1830.
Mm-hmm. Sonny's got a question.
Sonny?
I have a question on minute takers. How come it's jumped so high?
Because this year, the Board of Selectmen reduced the executive secretary's hours by 5 hours a week, and we now contract for that service.
So it just got moved around, right?
Well, it's contracted at a different rate than what the executive secretary, so I would say that it's being done by contract, and then we're actually reduced that cost.
So the net result is that it's costing us less?
Correct.
Okay.
It's costing us less?
Mm-hmm.
Then why are they asking for 7,000 instead of 1,000?
Because he just,
Slow, one person at a time. Okay, my understanding was the minute taker for the selectmen's minutes was being paid out of the regular wages line.
Right.
They now have reduced that line by that amount of money and contracted it out. Would that be accurate, Derek?
Not only that line, but all affected lines that touch the salary line as well.
Okay.
Those reduction in 5 hours a week, yes.
Okay.
I don't know if we already addressed this when I stepped out, but the Board of Selectmen increased the professional dues up to 15,000 from 13,900. What was the reason behind that?
Just the different new subscriptions, and the subscriptions that we have currently have gone up.
Subscriptions to what?
Derek, do you?
I don't have those again in front of me. I believe there's ICMA membership, NHMA membership. I can get those for you, but
They're all current memberships that we're in, just have gone up.
Joe?
Are these essential memberships, or are they optional for the town? I mean, is it?
I would say the NHMA is an essential one. We use them to answer legal questions all the time on a daily basis, and they provide training, webinars and stuff to staff at no additional cost. So yeah, the majority of that line is essential.
I guess I gotta go with what Liz's question is, if the department has requested a number, What did the selectmen decide to do to increase the number?
On the professional dues?
Yeah.
That's what we're on, just after seeing and looking at what there is out there for what we have, and the raises and just the level of everything, that's what it takes to cover the dues.
Yeah, but the department has requested something.
Yeah.
And you increased it.
It was, the money we put in covers the dues. And I'll go back and ask.
Okay. Derek might have an answer. He's got his hand up.
Department heads are putting these together in August and don't always have all the information. I would presume more information was received between the time the department head submitted and the Board of Selectmen concluded. That's what I would presume that increase is.
But we're gonna find that out, right? That's what you said, you'd get that. Yeah, okay.
If
Mark
you'd
said-
like us to, yes.
Mark said he'd find out. Joe, you had a question?
No.
Anybody got anything else? Page 9?
All right, another dumb question. The merit pay? What's the merit pay?
That's a new program. Go ahead, Mark.
Derek, go ahead.
Previously, and I'll let the department heads correct me if I misspeak, but each department had funds in their regular wages for merit increases that they can request through the Board of Selectmen. The board took those and moved them here.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Shay, you had a question?
No, I was just gonna say, I have a note that says from all 6 departments.
Yeah, I have that also.
Perfect.
Anything else? We'll move over to page 10.
So I just want to make a generalized comment. I've noticed postage for some departments has gone up this year as compared to other years, and in other departments it's gone down. And I noticed the postage stamp stays the same, so I'm not sure why these across different departments are up or down or what.
I think postage is going up at the beginning of the year. It's a cent. I think. Or
Okay,
a cent.
but shouldn't it be across all departments? Like, shouldn't they all then increase
But maybe
rather
some
than?
departments are transferring over to like sending things by email or posting them online instead of mailing them out.
True. Yeah. Okay.
Could be election year or something.
Okay.
Ruth,
Yep.
go ahead.
I'm going to say, one thing with this particular one and the town clerks and the election part, it's because there will be more elections
Okay.
next year.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I have a 2.42% increase in the town side, and that what you guys have, a little bit less now, right? Page 11. This is the elections. We have 3 elections this year. Is that accurate, Ruth?
Yes.
Computers and communications was up, but that's reprogramming, am I right?
Yes.
Reprogramming, I believe they bought a new computer as well.
Any questions on page 11? Let's go on to page 12. Finance Department.
Yeah, I have a question.
Elizabeth.
The additional hours for the employees for implementing the finance software. My understanding last year was that the $300,000, there was a huge chunk of it, like at least half, that was going to cover all the implementation. So what happened?
Derek?
$300,000, it's $270,000 that covers the cost of the contract with Tyler Tech. There is an enormous amount of staff time to convert data, to proof it, to make sure that the data we provided them comes back correct, the training. Our hourly staff can only carry so much comp time they're maxed out. They can't work over 35 hours and accrue comp time. Personnel plan does not allow it. They're all maxed out now. So those additional 2 hours for the first 6 months is so we can continue that implementation.
So we didn't factor any of that in when we made the initial?
There were some on the select board at the time that wanted us to budget for overtime, and the decision was made to not do that. So we're just trying to get it in under our current budget.
Can I make an observation here real quick? When we were told, like, when we were doing the communication system, did anybody ever tell us when the proposal that, well, after you put this communication system, it's gonna cost you, $13,000 or $12,000 per year to maintain it? I don't remember hearing that. Here again, when we did the system with the computer upgrades, nobody ever said it was gonna cost us all this money. What we had that when the proposal was made. Things like this can sway somebody's judgment on whether to go with something or not. And I mean, this is just a perfect case of, buyer beware as we go into the future, whether we're all here or not. We need to really look at, okay, what's the residual cost 2 years out, 3 years out? Because this is where we get stuck. Now we're stuck. We're stuck with a maintenance contract that we can do nothing about. We're stuck paying for this, or the computers are no good. You're stuck. I mean, you feel like you're abused sometimes. I don't know. That's just comment. Derek, go ahead.
I'll just say on the finance software, the fortunate thing is you did have a member on the ad hoc committee that decided to make that purchase, so the annual cost was...
That is 180 degrees about from what happened. I was not on the committee that decided to make that purchase. That wasn't our charge.
Again, the ad hoc committee, yes, that reviewed the bids that came in.
Our charge was to review all the options and make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen, not whether or not to purchase it, but should they decide to upgrade the software, this was the one we recommended. But what you said was not accurate. We did not make the decision to purchase it.
Okay, you're correct. I'm sorry.
And I seem to remember you voting against it in this committee guide.
I don't know if you did it. I think you abstained.
Oh, you might have abstained.
Chief?
Just real quick on the
I can't remember.
Center, we did get that on a grant, and the amount of maintenance that we would spend, the return on investment, because the grant funds that we did get paid for the system, we could pay for maintenance for about 15 years before we...
I'm not debating that. I'm debating that when we get something in like that, you don't look at the long term. It's like when we did years ago when we had the cops more. While it went, I don't know if you are familiar with that, you got a gradual reduction, but then you own that person at the end of the cops more grants, and then you have that expense. Saves you money up front. I'm not disagreeing with that, but in the long, there is a cost at the end.
But in other words, you get the extra service for equipment that you need now, and it just disperses the overall cost over time, which helps us out. And without that, we couldn't have possibly got through there.
Could have used the salt line.
I'm just curious, why do we put the $1 line in there?
You gotta have a line to expend.
Okay.
Placeholder.
Yeah, I figured that's what it was. I just wanted to make sure.
Any other questions on page 12? Comments? Page 13. Tax collection.
I'll make a motion, we zero out this whole department.
I'm willing to bet some people will probably want us just to do that.
Tax collection? Yeah. Let's
Get rid of the postage, right? There you go. Anything on that? There's not much there. So.
Are we on page 14?
We are now?
Okay. Legal
This is
services.
the one you want to get rid of.
Legal services, why did it go up by $10,000?
It's been a lawsuit against Fairpoint.
Okay.
Regarding the taxation of telephone poles.
Okay.
Nice.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember
You know, I do when he said it,
Poor
so that
Lisa,
it
she
just
doesn't
came
get
right out.
Sorry, just looking at this. Didn't all the longevity pay go to the
No.
No, it's merit.
No,
pay.
not yet.
merit pay? Sorry.
Longevity pay, that's the one that's up on the ball.
Yeah.
But there's a perfect example. It went, in 12, it went to 1560, and then adopted 1950, and it's still 1950, so I don't really, they didn't spend anything this year, probably because it comes to the end of the year.
Right, they get it at the end of the year.
So it's every 2 years that they get the bump. Okay. Any questions on that page? And Infotech.
What was the increase for the computer software from?
Licensing.
Yeah, that was we need to carry the old one for a year.
And the one-time upgrade for assessing program?
For our vision assessing program.
And I think also now, this covers user licenses for all town software.
Yes.
And those used to be divided among departments, maybe?
Yes.
I seem to remember a comment when we were discussing the school side that we had, 4 people handling 2,000 computers or 2,000 computerized items, and we have, on the town side, 2 people handling 200?
Yeah, something like that.
400? Something in that neighborhood?
Yeah. It was like, I remember it was like 10% of what the school guys were doing.
Yeah,
I
the
figured
schools
it in
are
my
running
head.
way more computer systems than on the town. Throwing it out there.
I understand what you're saying. So, I don't have that page, but we can go back to it later. No, I will. Planning and zoning. There was a large increase in the, we didn't, it's expenditures this year for the lawsuits, I guess.
So why wasn't that, not that I want the budget line to go up, but why wasn't that budget line increased for the legal services?
Probably handled by now.
Well, but as Sue mentioned, I mean, the planning board gets sued for every decision it makes these days, it seems like. So,
Well, it went up $2,500 over last year's budget. Our current
expenses
year's
went up
budget.
$30,000 between the year
There might have been
before and
something.
last
Derek,
year.
wasn't there something special this year that happened, or?
We had 2 cases that went to the Supreme Court for zoning and planning this year.
Do we win or lose?
We've gotten one decision back that we won on. I don't know the status of the other one.
We don't recoup any cost if we win, right?
Correct.
It's just a pat on the back and the other person goes away.
I think something, the legislature should issue something that the towns can go after these people.
For cost.
For cost.
In certain cases, sorry, just no, in
Since
certain,
you're in law school.
in certain cases you can, but if they're bringing like non-frivolous arguments, then that's the purpose of the system. They're not going to make you pay if you bring something that's not frivolous.
I'm pretty sure there's some decent case law on that.
Yeah, yeah, that's not valid.
All right, anything on 16? $17?
The historic district was getting some plaques done still, right? That were in the process.
Mhm.
Okay.
Any questions on this page? There's a decrease of 4.54%, so. Of course, the Budget Committee had a decrease in their budget.
We lead by example.
Right. Nobody followed. Building? Page 18. Now, 25% of the building supervisors switched to admin, according to my notes here. And then $3,200 was for mosquito spraying or mitigation. Any questions on 18? $4,000 increase on this page. Direct assistance was $3,000 on it. Anything else on this? Let's move over to cemetery. Well, that's public works. Yeah. We all done with the town?
Admin.
Admin. That's what I meant. Okay, I would like, I want to, 9 o'clock meeting type thing. While we have,
Rick and,
yeah,
yeah.
go to Parks and Rec, which is page 28.
Yeah.
And just cut it, cut 10% out of that, and we'll move right along. You have about a $6,000 total increase on this. Any questions on Parks and Rec? Anybody got anything?
Doesn't he have something in CIP?
No. No.
Oh, no, okay, yeah.
It's going to do it out of this year's.
Right. No question.
Nothing? Come on. All right. Parks and Rec, we're done with. Glad you joined us. Here comes a tough one, the library. Get that red pen out. I missed the presentation, so go right ahead. You guys are going to have to carry this one along.
So we got the email about the policy. So if she gets her master's, or if the employee gets the master's, they have to stay for a while. They'd have, it falls underneath that policy, correct? So they have to. Okay.
Or repay their.
Or repay the tuition. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion
What the hell page
for
is
the
this on?
I think it's line 44,200.
44,200.
It would have been the tuition reimbursement.
Uh-huh.
Bring that back up, and kind of like 2 lines, I suppose. But I want to. The amount asked for was 9765, so it would have been would have taken that 50% cutout. Correct? That's what it was. We cut it in half.
It's $3,500.
3,500.
Or maybe it's 30.
It's 3,500.
Oh, then.
Why?
If you want to restore it,
They want
Tuition
put back
reimbursement.
to
Yeah.
65
Oh, so
cents.
then, sorry. So the $3,500. Sorry.
Second.
See right there?
I make a motion to restore that 35.
Second.
Can I see? Oh, I see.
Board of Selectmen
235.
brought it down
Yeah.
3,500.
Or
and he
restore
wants to reinstore it.
265. Sorry, restore 265.10. So add $3,500 back.
I have a quick question. You mentioned the figure 9765. I have that written down here too, but I can't remember what.
That's so. I think that's the anticipated total cost remaining.
Like, over
I think
3
so. I
years.
misunderstood
Is
that.
that
Yeah.
why?
The little
Okay.
opening handout.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay. Yeah, I've
misunderstood
got
that.
that.
Sorry.
and can I just mention something for anyone who's watching, that the policy here will be entered, we got an email from Diane Hathaway explaining the town's policy on requiring reimbursement for any tuition expenses that the town pays for if an employee leaves the town's employment within a certain period of time. That will be entered into the minutes for this meeting.
Depending
If
on
anyone
what
wants
education they get.
the
Right.
details.
Yes.
Right.
Did we?
Doesn't Shane get to speak to his motion?
Was there a second for his motion?
And I seconded.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I mean, I just think generally it's good, and if we want to have the position, I mean, our library is growing. Did we hit 100,000? So we hit 100. We hit 100,000.
Wow.
So it's growing, and I think it makes sense at this point in time, especially to have a second one there in case we're getting pulled in a lot of different directions. And if the employee has to stay here for a certain amount of time, I think that's a worthwhile investment for the town.
What is the certain amount of time?
Depends on the degree, right?
It's
3 years
Because it's
for a
equivalent of
master's?
Masters, right? So
And what's the final cost of that?
It's about $9,700 more just for her to complete her degree.
Over the next 3 years.
What's the total cost to the town?
12,000?
Yeah, because she's already started it.
Well,
And then she'd have to stay. And I don't have the policy information. Then she'd have to stay another 3 years after she completes it. So she'd be here for at least another 6 years, technically, if she finishes it, right? And if she doesn't finish it, then
She has to
when does that
reimburse
time
us.
start?
then she has to pay us back.
When she finishes her degree.
When she finishes her degree.
Okay.
Wait, I get to speak to my second.
Hold on. Go ahead, Elizabeth, you want to speak to your second?
Okay. I really agonized over this one. I feel very conflicted. I agree with the selectmen that this is something that we should be moving more towards the way they do it in the private sector, and we don't pay for degrees anymore. I also frankly openly question the library's decision that they need 2 credentialed librarians and that this should be a priority at this time. But there are 2 reasons why I think I feel strongly that we should support this motion. One is there are 9 town employees who are currently earning degrees. This is the only one that we backtracked on. If the selectmen want to enact this policy, then they got to do it equitably across the board. They can't pick one employee and pull the rug out from under her. And the second reason is also because she's in the middle of the program. The town has already invested in this. She's invested both her own time and her own money. And if this was a new employee going into this program, starting a new program, I would probably feel differently. But we already there was an understanding last year when she undertook this that she would start this program and finish it with the town's support. And I feel very strongly that it's dishonorable, frankly, for us to change course in the middle when everybody's already made an investment in this.
Guy?
Back off.
Selectmen's rep, why did they single out the library and not the rest of the departments?
I honestly don't remember. I'd have to go back and check my minutes and see what the discussion was on that night. I don't remember.
Anybody else got any questions, any comments?
I have one comment.
Go ahead.
I guess we never got an answer on what is the pay rate gonna, how is this gonna change once they have this degree?
Well, that's 3 years in the future. I cannot answer that for you right now.
But I guess what I'm asking is what is it, if they have that degree, when you're hiring somebody, what would it normally be? I guess what I'm looking at is long term on this also.
If we had hired a librarian with a degree at the time that we made this agreement with her, we would be paying far more than the cost of her education.
But that's not my question. My question is, what would the price be? What is her pay going to be at the end of this? That's what I want to know.
That's budget 3 years in advance. I cannot answer that for you.
What if we hired one today?
Thank you.
That's what.
We should be prepared to pay at least $20,000 more than we paid them.
Okay, so that number.
Those librarians are hard to come by.
That number is likely to be even higher than in 3 years from now.
That's all
And we've been operating without one for how many years? Or how many decades without 2?
Without 2 for, I don't know how many decades.
But long time.
A while.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I would also like to say our library is growing as well, so we can't just sit and think back to what it was like in the 1960s and 70s and 80s, and because it's growing as you go along.
No, but I'm thinking of what it was like in 2011.
2011.
And I'm also thinking, is this the right time? I'm also thinking the selectmen may have cut this. Mark, is it possible the intent was to reduce the number of classes or extend the amount of time it takes for her to get that?
Collis had answered it last week.
Yeah.
But all
Well, one at a time.
all he said last week, and correct me if you heard something different, but he just said that, the community has spoken, taxes are too high, and we need to cut expenditure. I mean, that's really all he said. He didn't speak anything specifically about this degree, and I found it odd that none of the other professional development money had been touched from any other place in the town that I could find. So, and I should have asked him that last week. Because it appears that you don't seem to remember that evening when you made the vote.
Well, okay, there's two things that I just heard. I'm sorry, Diane, you wanted to say something. I'm going to let you go ahead.
I just want to say that this person has to maintain 4 classes a year to get financial aid. I think that is a really big, important item for you to hear. If she doesn't take 4 classes a year, she doesn't get financial aid, she doesn't move on with her degree, she's sort of stuck as far as that goes, because she can't take those courses without financial aid.
So she has to take a minimum of 4 per year?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's what this pays for, our share of 4 classes.
So at the end of the 4 year, or she gets done with her degree, which would say 4 years, she will have owed the town, as she left, about $12,000.
It's a prorated cost. I don't know what that is off the top of my head.
Would that be pretty close, though?
Sure. I don't know. I can't answer that right now.
Well, but in the statement a few minutes ago, you said, well, somebody with a degree, with a master's degree.
Payment, I don't know what the amount is.
Okay. Your statement a few minutes ago is if we were to go out and hire somebody with a master's degree, they'd be making $20,000 more per year.
That's my quick guess, yeah.
Okay. So it would still behoove somebody at the end of 3 years after we've paid for their education to move on, pay the $12,000 penalty, and grab a better job.
But they're children's librarians. I mean, it's not like it's like this high market. It's just not like a computer programmer. I mean, she's a children's librarian. I mean, that's just for my own personal.
Let's get that. Tell us it was be about $20,000
How many are there
or
in
more.
the state? How many children's libraries? It's not like a hot market, is what I'm
No,
saying.
well,
It's
yeah,
not like
but
a
she
hot
just said
big
that
job
it's hard to
market.
find.
Yeah. So I mean.
No, she said it low. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Hard
Did you
to
not
find?
say that the librarians certified are hard to find? Correct.
Children's librarians
Okay.
are hard to find.
So taking a $12,000 pay to hit to pay back is not going to be that big of a deal if you're going to make that much more money.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know this employee. I just cannot believe. I'm just not going to ascribe those kind of motives to her. I have no reason to think.
I'm just looking at
that-
black and white.
that
I'm
she
not
would
looking at an
that
employee.
she
I'm looking
would-
at black and white.
You're right, and I do question, as I said, I do question whether or not we need a second credentialed librarian. But if the library is determined to go ahead with this policy, it's cheaper to put her through school for these next 3 years than to pay the credentialed librarian that they would hire tomorrow.
But
We can't change the library's policy.
I'll try it. Go ahead, Guy. Guy's got his hand up.
Who made the motion? And you seconded?
I seconded it.
So, let's find it somewhere else. Let's amend the motion so that as we put the 3,500 back in that line, we remove 3,500, and if you're looking at this year's actuals, it'll work. Take the 3,500 from books and publications.
They could do that on their own. They don't have to. They don't need us.
I understand that, but
So it's not. It's a moot point as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I wouldn't. If they want to do it, they can do it.
they'd have to do it if we do it this way. If we don't reduce one line to make up for the increase.
No, they get the bottom line in the end.
They can do whatever they want.
They get the bottom line in the end.
That's what I'm saying. They would get the bottom line in the end. But if we remove 35 from books and publications, we're reducing the budget by 35, and they're still keeping. That's what.
You're balancing it out, is what
Right.
you're saying.
So I can either make a motion to amend Shays or make a second motion afterwards if this one passes. Whatever you want me to do.
Well, it's not up to me what I want you to do. I mean, that's your call. Whatever you want to do.
All right, that's what I'm going to do. I'd like to make a motion.
It's still. Go ahead.
Oh, do you want to?
No, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to amend. wait a minute, he's already made a to amend Shay's motion to include a reduction of $3,500 in line 47400.
I'll second that.
Wait, what's line 474?
Books and publications.
Publications.
Which has already been
That line's already
reduced.
took a hit.
Yeah, by.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the actuals, and I'm looking for a way to fund her classes.
That money's gone, guys.
Pardon me?
That money is already gone. You know, this is an October 31st budget report for expenditures. 2 months to spend on books and publications, that money's gone.
Well,
So,
2012, they overspent that.
Right.
He's made a motion.
it's been seconded.
Okay, let's vote on the amended motion first, on the amendment.
Can someone just say the whole thing, so,
Yeah.
the whole motion?
It's
Go ahead.
Shay's motion of putting $3,500 back into the, what's it called?
Tuition reimbursement?
Tuition reimbursement, and removing $3,500 from books and publications.
Got it.
Okay, this is
Wait, that's
the,
not one motion.
No,
We've
no,
got two
no,
motions
no.
on the table.
No, you can't do that.
No, I'm amending his motion to include a reduction.
We did not.
you
We didn't
can't
vote on
have
this.
a motion.
slow down, one person at a time, okay. Joe, did you,
Just as a procedural point, doesn't Shay have to agree to the amendment?
no,
No, he doesn't? Okay.
No, and my motion to amend has already been seconded.
right.
So what I'm looking to do is to amend his motion to include a $3,500 reduction in books and publications.
So you're not voting for the original motion right now, you're only
Voting
voting
for
for
the
whether or
amendment.
not
Yeah, just,
you want to tack that on
Right.
to what he said.
Right.
I got it.
okay.
Okay. All in favor of Guy's amendment, I'm not gonna go through it again, we all understand what it is, right?
Yeah.
Signify by raising your hands. 1, 2, 3. Opposed? Okay, so that fails. Now, are we done with Shay's motion?
We haven't voted on it yet.
No, we're done with discussing it. Is there any more discussion on it? Okay, all in favor of Shay's motion signify by raising your hand. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for. Opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4 opposed. Abstaining? 1, 2. Motion passes. But you have to understand, okay, that means nothing. Okay. We can't we could just add money to a budget. We can't tell where they're gonna spend it.
Right, but we kind of had this conversation earlier on, too. I was just curious to your phraseology, that it meant nothing.
It
I mean,
means something.
something.
Well,
There, you know, I do have a little bit of integrity here, and if I tell you that money will be spent on tuition reimbursement, it will be spent on tuition reimbursement.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Just give me a little credit.
I don't think anybody was not giving you credit, but if something happens and you needed to go to that money, you might have to do it. I mean, emergency situations come up all the time. Any more discussion on the library? So we're gonna add that 3,500 back in.
Now the budget's went up, what, $33,000 for the year now?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm
Yes.
just looking-
703.
Yeah, 3,396. 30,396.
Mark, could you get back to us? I know it's said and done now, but I really would like a good answer as to why.
I have a note.
Crazy.
I will get the answer.
You know, and you know,
It's driving me nuts.
no, because we're not done with them. I mean,
No, I know.
I think as everybody that's here tonight heard that we're not done with salary lines.
No, I understand.
I think we made that pretty clear to all department heads. Salary and longevity and things like that are all still on our radar. So we're not done. So when you look at that, well, it's gone up this much, that's not necessarily true. You might find that $3,500 in a different line.
Well, and Yeah, it just.
Anything else? Now, how about CIP for the library? Do they have anything?
Yeah, there's one item, painting and repair, $85,000.
That's page 30?
Yes, page 30, it's 53475.
By the way, we
No,
skipped
the-
the town hall item in CIP.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We can look at it.
The selectmen removed that. The library doesn't have anything in CIP right now.
Where is it, Joe?
All right.
Oh,
About halfway down.
53,475.
did they put it back into maintenance?
Oh, thank you. So it's gone.
It's
right?
gone.
Library painting?
Wait a minute. No, the Board of Selectmen says zero.
Yeah, the Board of
Right,
Selectmen.
they took it out.
So, was it put back into the regular budget?
No, it's not. They just have their facility.
Did not go back in.
Diane, were you aware of that? You knew about it, right?
I'm questioning, asking a question here.
What'd she say?
Oh, I'm sorry, that was one of the ones that the selectmen at this point would put on as a separate article. They again haven't decided on that. They have moved, if you look on page 2, you have,
Yeah.
there's 6 items between the paint.
Yeah. Yep, that's the ones that's coming out of the general, yeah, that's.
There's a
Does anybody
police
want to talk
department
about
item, too.
these, or?
Yeah, let's do it,
And a
man.
town hall.
Talk about
These fund balance things. Things being paid for with the unreserved fund balance.
Wait, are we talking about CIP or fund balance? Is that what you were asking, CIP or fund balance?
Yeah, but we have
Switched
no
gears.
say in
We
that.
started CIP and went to fund
Zero.
balance.
We get to endorse it or not endorse it.
That's true.
Let's
Well,
finish- let's
But we
finish
don't know
our
if they're gonna put them in special articles, or if they're gonna take it out of, yet.
I thought they'd already made that decision, but maybe not.
I don't know. I haven't seen the articles.
Well, I thought that's what this was.
I've got a note.
I got a big thing here, it says big fund balance.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's where it currently is. They would make the decision in the coming weeks to whether or not to put it on as a separate article to pay out of unreserved, undesignated fund balance.
So it could move around. It could not come out of fund balance and end up in a special article for voter approval and our approval, or our recommendation or not. And the fire chief is here.
What are you asking me? You want to go at it tonight? Is that what you want to do?
My personal preference is, I think we should give the Board of Selectmen some direction on where we
All
would
right.
fall if this
Go
was
for it.
unreserved fund balance.
You know what we're
Also,
talking
police
about on
department
page 2?
item.
I think so. You're talking about the stuff in between the pink lines?
Yeah.
We were talking, just so I'm clear on what's going on here, 'cause
But
it's
there
all
was-
over the map. We
There's
were
no,
talking
no,
about
no, not really, because there is no CIP item. When we were talking about CIP item for the library, we were talking about the CIP item for the library, we came to here because this is where it went. So we're not all over the map,
We
we're
were
following
on-
the trail.
I'm sorry, I just want to
That's what
respond
I
to that.
just
We were
suggested.
on CIP. Elizabeth said we had skipped over the CIP for the town hall. Did you or did you not?
I did, but
We-
Peter clarified that
Okay, so-
it's also in this same group.
We still got the fire department. Why don't we do that before we get into
And
the
guys
other
talking
stuff?
about the fire department. I just want to know where we're going so I know where we
We'll
are.
let you know what page we're on as soon as we get there.
As soon as you know.
Well, Elizabeth just brought up she wants to go to this.
Well,
She wants to
let's
send-
go to this.
CIP?
No, the fund balance stuff.
I would be against going to that right now.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Let's go to the fire department, so. Is that okay, Elizabeth? You're not upset, are you?
No, I'll get over it.
Keep your
This page.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the same things are on both pages.
I don't think I have these pages. I'm just looking and I don't.
I don't know, it's not even there yet.
I thought it was 30, that way.
EMS one.
Okay, so this
Page
would be,
number?
26,
Thank
26.
okay, these are all would be separate articles. And that would be warrant articles as opposed to the budget. I don't know what I've done with those pages.
Anybody got anything on the fire department they want to ask the chief while he's here? I had a thing on cell phone, but that just got moved around. I have SCBA equipment and repair.
That's a fund balance.
That's fund balance.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
No, because this is
Yeah.
47,900 line.
It's a line.
Talking about.
It's on page 2.
Yeah, 9,000.
No, that's
No, there's
different.
another
That's a different line altogether. I was
47.
wondering why it was still, why it's in there if it's in the, those are being replaced.
Couple things under the fund balance line, you see $300,000. We just submitted a grant to get the SCBA replaced. And so our share, because of DRA rules, we have to fully fund what we anticipate on spending. We anticipate if we're awarded the grant of getting $270,000 of that back. So realistically, only about $30,000 will be coming in a fund balance. All right. That grant is competitive. There's no guarantees on that whatsoever. So, for example, if we fail at getting that grant, we still have to maintain the old air packs that we have now. The line that you see in the fire department budget is just to maintain the old air packs that we have existing in our fleet. So we're hoping to get it replaced. Reality speaks that if we get the award, it's probably going to be sometime in June or July. We have to go out to bid, purchase. By the time we get the equipment in, we're talking about probably this time next year. So we're going to need to maintain our current equipment up until that point.
And then this time next year, you'll be paying the $30,000 for the new. If the grant was awarded, you'd be paying the $30,000.
Right. When we get the new equipment in, that's where we pay for the project. The feds pay for their portion, we pay for ours, and we have the.
But this has to be done by 2015, right? So if we don't get the grant, that means in the following budget, we're going to be looking at the whole enchilada.
This doesn't work. The grant does not get awarded. Then next year, we're going to be talking for full replacement costs.
Why such a large increase in that line for next year?
Just because they're more than NFPA, they're obsolete packs, and they have a lot of maintenance issues. Right now, we have about 4 or 5 air packs are out. Either their electrical board has gone on them, or there's some mechanical issues with them. So we're constantly, in the past, it was always like 1 pack per month. Now we're sending out 4 or 5 packs per month, just because they're aging and they're at that break point.
Chief, last year we budgeted 18, or this year, current year, we budgeted 18.9 for turnouts. You still expected some bills on that?
Yeah, actually, the selectmen will be seeing some encumbrances. We made some orders over the past month or so, and of course, when we put in orders to the company, we're putting a queue, and usually we get the suits back within 10 weeks, but it depends on their backlog, so we're still waiting for those suits to show up.
How much is $18,900 buy in suits?
Probably. Well, that line also includes purchasing helmets and gloves and boots. But for example, with just one coat, a set of coat and pants, runs about $1,700 per set.
This one is the expenditure, I think, on these. And this one is the revenue. So
Any questions on page 26? Page, go ahead.
Why did the Board of Selectmen bring that retirement up?
Oh, the retirements went up, that's from,
Just
the rate
right,
went up
that's
from
right,
the
yeah,
state.
okay. Yep, that's right, I forget.
Page 27? Any questions on 27? CIP? Is there anything in CIP? Oh, that's right. Well, we pretty much know that story. That's gonna be a special article.
No, in
That's not-
CIP.
Oh, sorry.
That's gonna be a special article, that's not, well, it should be in CIP.
You got a forestry truck in CIP.
So you get that,
Right, the forestry truck.
you get that EMS line.
Oh, yeah. we got-
EMS is self-funding though, I mean,
Yeah, no, but it's in the budget.
What page is it?
32?
Okay. But we're on 30 right now, right, CIP?
anything on CIP?
Well, we're not, you mean fire CIP, right?
Fire CIP,
Okay.
right,
No.
that's what we're working on, fire.
Forestry truck, we're all cool with that?
No, we're coming back to CIP as a whole, but you just said we're, fire CIP, is there anything else? I would
She just
personally,
said the forestry vehicle, that's what.
I would personally like to discuss the CIP as a whole next week.
Right.
You know, as a, you know, like we do any department.
Well, the only reason why we bring it up now is because the department heads
Right.
are here, but if you wanna have them all back again next
No,
week,
no.
it's okay.
No, they're not all here. Carl's not here, and he's got a lot of stuff in CIP.
Right.
And I think we discussed the forestry truck at length the last time when it was presented, so I don't have anything on it right now, if that's what if we're restricting ourselves right now to fire department CIP, I have nothing.
Okay. I guess, what message are we sending then? That CIP is still up for discussion?
Well, I would think all of them are up for discussion at some point.
Yeah.
And, you know, once we finish this, I'd like to at least look at the budget as a whole and see
What we've done.
what we've done and where CIP fits into all of this. Last year, we ended up, remember last year, we ended up reducing the road plan from $1.5 million to $1 million. We got Public Works the truck they needed, and we saved the taxpayers about $330,000 doing it. But that was by looking at CIP as a whole, which I'd prefer to do. If, you know, nobody else objects.
I don't object. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Elizabeth, you don't look okay.
No, I'm okay. It just seems like they're sitting here, and I'm kind of trying to look at it, when I look at CIP, I kind of look at it department by department, and how much is one department asking for, and kind of balancing it, but I mean, it really doesn't make that big of a difference to me.
Okay.
Anything else?
Did you want to look at EMS or not?
We can if you want.
Page 32.
I mean, that's,
I know it's self-funding, just in deference to Chief
say
Fletcher.
we look at it. Chief, again on your EMS turnouts, you got something big coming in?
Again, the same order, we ordered from the same batch, so they're coming in. They'll be, that amount will be encumbered or a portion of it anyway. Anything that is not spent over the current year from our budget goes back into that EMS special revenue fund, and ultimately can be used towards future capital projects like purchasing an ambulance.
Any questions on page 32? Seeing none? That's it. Tomorrow night, we'll work on the school.
So next week for the town, we're tackling Public Works, CIP, sewer, and water,
Yes.
Yes,
right?
pretty much, yeah. There's not much in sewer. We do anyway. It's enterprise fund, so we're not going to cut it.
Anything we get back from the board.
Yeah,
Right.
the employee wages.
Report about all these other questions.
Yeah, I think we're going to be having a lot of discussions about what you talked about at the beginning of the night.
I would think so. I hope so. Anything else?
Thanks, you guys back there.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by Guy. Motion made by Brian, seconded by Guy. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.